is accessing InDesign, you know, and whether a student can get onto the production, the publication drive of the network, and then use that, you know, using that remote desktop, and then use that, because all the files are there, you know, the past issues are there. So that's my question.
Yeah, ultimately, I'm gonna kind of defer to IT on that, but I can kind of give some insight, I think, maybe.
Okay, and
So,
let me also add, Ruben, that Brenna Peters is the graphic designer, and so she lays out on a computer in the Fine Arts Center, you know, a Mac over there. So
yeah, I don't know how Adobe products work when you try to install them on a remote desktop connection.
you know,
Because
I guess I was wondering if you connect with a desktop that has them, you know, like if she connects with a desktop in the Fine Arts Center that she uses, because she can access it on the publication network, you know, the drive, the publication drive.
yeah, so that's all because it's that all works because it's on the same network. Yeah. So when you're connecting from a off-campus network to the remote desktop connection, it's not like you don't have quite the same ability to like click and drag a file from the remote desktop connection to your computer, because ultimately what has to happen is you have to download that over the internet instead of downloading it through the local connection.
Okay, she can't work on it on a desktop, you know, remote desktop computer connection.
That would be again, I would defer to IT, but that would be my inclination. If she does have the applications like on her own personal computer.
She does not, but she said that Adobe is letting students use them free. So she is going to check into that.
Well, why am I still paying for them? Get out of here.
All right, I'm gonna put a pause on that conversation. No, that's okay. We're at 4. That is another conversation I think that can be solved beyond the kind of teaching classroom stuff that we wanted to talk about, but it's an important question. Just as by way of intro, just invite you to mute yourself if you're not speaking. Otherwise, I will mute you just so that we have lack of background noise. And if you have a question or something you want to ask, just easier if you put your name in the chat, and then we can, we'll call on you and highlight different things. Really, just wanted to say, how can we help? How are things going initially? As you've launched into now the second week of online, is that right? Second? Everything's blurred together. But as you've launched into these last couple of weeks, how have you found it? And are there things that you're coming up against that you now have questions on? We also wanted to show VidGrid, which was another thing that we've had added to our system, and we can demonstrate that in a minute. But did want to ask if you had any questions. But I have gone around and muted everybody, so you will have to unmute if you want to speak.
Well, I will. So I've been pleasantly surprised. I've only had, out of all my classes, only one student that has not engaged at all. So I'm pleased by that most students are at least trying to engage at some level. So that's been a positive for me. Today was a colossal fail. I gave my first online test in Infotech, which Infotech is a computer class, which is basically how do you use Excel. And oh, my email has been blowing up all day. I made special tests for all my kids. I emailed them each individually. I have 45 kids in that class. It took me a considerable amount of time. And I put a tracker on their email so I knew when it was opened, so I could keep track of how, and I told them they had an hour, wasn't enough time. The kids are over the top stressed. So today didn't go very well. So I have to figure out how to redo today so kids aren't stressed. So today was not my best teaching day.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It sounds like you did a lot of things right. So was the problem they just needed more time? Is that what it was? Or they opened the link, but then it shut, they didn't actually go into the test at that point?
I think the issue really was the amount of time.
Mhm.
Like I took the test and I knew how long it took me, so I doubled it for the kids. And I've made individual videos for, I teach to my dog and I teach and I make videos of myself, like 20-minute videos for the whole chapter, and I post them for the kids. And so I really felt like that if kids would take advantage and really watch my videos as I instructed, like I would in class, they would be fine. So I'm questioning, was it really not enough time, or did they even watch the videos to begin with and just showed up to take the test thinking I can look at my book and figure out what to do really fast and do it? So I'm struggling with that a little bit. But even some of my kids that I think would have really put some effort in have emailed me and said wasn't enough time. So I guess I'm going to have to figure out something to really, I don't want them to be frustrated. They're worried that they're going to fail, and so.
Right. And you're doing a ton of work, Melinda. It
Yeah.
sounds like you're doing everything you can to lay it out for them, right? And okay. I mean, yeah, we can't help you solve that,
right.
but boy, it sounds like you're doing the
Mhm.
right thing.
Okay.
One question, in the course as you've laid it out, and if you wanted to share your screen, you could show us. Have you created like a module based?
Yes.
Okay, so if they're clicking in, they're seeing watch the video, then
Yes.
it's not like random assignment. Okay.
Right. No. So I'm in can I share my screen, Rick?
Yeah, I've unlocked this room.
Okay.
Shouldn't have a problem.
So this is what I look like. So if those of you, if you see something I should do better, please let me know. So I have it broken down in modules by each chapter. So we started online with chapter 5. So I'll show you chapter 6, for example. So I have a PowerPoint that I've made, and then the files that they need, and then I broke it down by about 6 pages at a time. And I've made videos teaching every one of those. So and then they get weekly points just for telling me what they learned as they watched. And then today, here was their test. So I emailed them their file, and then I keep going. Here's the next chapter, PowerPoint, and then videos every about 6-7 pages long. So I'm struggling with how to administer an Excel test. I mean, I'll just be really honest. I've had lots of academic dishonesty. And so with this book, if I just send out one file and give them all the same directions, what I find has happened is one kid does it, or a handful, and then they share it with everybody else. And I don't know who's done what, because they all should come back looking like this, because that's what. So I tried to customize it for for kids, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking this and just shouldn't care. um, so words of advice, I guess.
Thank you for sharing. Wow, you've done a really great job. Anybody, yeah, wanna respond or give some advice?
I would say, Melinda, you just have to plan on them doing that,
Okay.
and because I think when we give an online test, the message that we are indirectly telling them is they can use their books, they can use
Yeah.
their notes, they can
Yeah.
work with each other, even when we say no. You're supposed to
Right.
do this on your own. I don't know how that works with Excel, teaching that, with them. And whether tests should be something to practice assignments rather than testing how much you know about using Excel.
Right.
So it'd be something more with practice than testing proficiency at it. That's just an idea I have.
Right.
I don't know. So,
Yeah. I offered that to do practice and said, send me your work, let's look at, no one took me up on that.
mhm.
So I kind of feel like, how do I assess if they really know any, I don't want it to be just a vocabulary of Excel. I want it to be, so.
How to use the
Yes.
formulas, right?
Pardon?
You want them to know how to use the formulas and
Right.
which formulas to use.
Right, and how to do it. To me, it's more important that they know how to do it than they can define a pivot table in definition. But can they do it? They think, So this has been hard to do online. So I'm going to reassess. The kids are taking the test right now. All of them have today 12 hours, and so I'll look at all the tests tomorrow once I get them all in, and I probably will just have to. I don't know. I'll come up with a different plan. So
Reuven.
I don't know the kind of intricacies of what it is that you're doing or testing, but I wonder if it would be possible to pair the Excel portion with like a quiz, where in the quiz you would say, perform these actions and then tell me what you get. And then they would perform the actions in Excel, and then it would be like you could do a multiple choice or a short answer. And so they would have to perform the actions and then tell you what they get. And because it was a quiz, then you could randomize order and you could say pick 50 from 100. And so these 50 for this student will be completely different from these 50 for this student. I think that would help kind of mitigate the academic dishonesty.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wonder if something like that would be possible to kind of combine the it would really kind of itemize it, which could be good, could be not great. I'm not, I don't really know. And it would kind of turn into a whole host of like separate instructions instead of, so you would kind of lose the linear story that you might otherwise get. So yeah, I don't.
Melinda, could you have a shorter test?
Yeah,
Not many questions, that, and then still implement what Reuben's talking about or what you tried to do with customizing those.
Right. So these chapters are long. Right. My chapters are 50 pages long. And so, trying to pick out, there's lots of content in all these chapters and they build. So, yeah, I'm going to have to figure out how to shorten it. I'm just not going to be able to test over. I'm going to have to just pick one thing out of the chapter, I guess, or two things or something, and focus on those or something. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have to find a way to shorten it in some way. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you. I feel
Thanks.
bad moving on, like we didn't really help you, but hopefully at least you heard people listening and a couple ideas. And anyway, we can feel free, we can email, or you might want to connect and we can keep the conversation going. I did want to respond back at the very top. How do you tell if students are engaging in Canvas? So this is a course I have going right now. It started on Monday. It's actually, no, this is beginning of week 2 for my course. So you would go here in your course shell, you would click on people. It will give you a list of the students in your course. And then if you highlight right over here on the side, it gives you the idea of, or the time of last activity, when this person last checked in. So apart from this person, everybody's been in this class today. It also gives you a total activity over here on the side that just tells you how long they had the page open. Now that could be that they, weren't, they did nothing and they just had it open for that amount of time, or they could have been very active. It's hard to say. It's hard to know. One other thing, and I was talking with Emily Olson about this. How do we know? I believe there was a message coming out from, I want to say that it came from Frank's office about keeping track, or Scott, maybe you can talk about this, about attendance. The issue is maybe you have a student whose last activity was like, a couple weeks down the line. They could by logging in once, even if they've had 2 weeks of inactivity, then this number is always going to show the last activity. So someone could sort of game the system, if that makes sense, by, if they knew that we were evaluating by this last activity, all they have to do is, if you say, hey, I'm checking tomorrow, then they just need to log in today and it suddenly catches them up, if that makes sense. So just note that from a piece. So yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that in our in the syllabi for the online program, each syllabus has a little blurb that says like, being active in the course or being counted as being active in the course does not guarantee success in the course, because we recognize that you can log in for 2 seconds and be considered to have attended that week. So we try to be very clear about saying that this is one thing that we are, this is one metric that we are using, but also understand that this metric does not guarantee any kind of success.
Well, the other side is too, if you actually, Rick, if you click on one of those names, at least whenever I did it, that it would pull up on the side a bar graph showing, even per day how much they had done and how many pages they had looked at. So you could view it that way too, based upon just clicking on each individual one if you really want to take the time.
Right. And Tim, you're absolutely right. The problem is, and Aline pointed this out to me, is if a student checks with their phone, those engagements will not show up in that the analytics that you're talking about. So unfortunately, that only will show if a student's using a computer, which is a real bummer. It's really too bad. So the only way to know if a student has checked in, because the phone will trigger the last activity. So you're absolutely right though, Tim. You can find out all kinds of information by clicking on the name and looking at those analytics for sure. One note, Frank had posted up a little bit earlier. I'm just kind of going back into this chat. First unofficial complaint from several students. We're killing them with extra work. So way more than the face-to-face setting. So this idea of overloading students, I'm sure it doesn't apply to anyone in this call. So how do we help our colleagues who are overloading people? Or, how are we evaluating that, I guess would be a question. Any thoughts or about that?
Rick, let me
Well, I
just
guess
say,
the question is too, how do you define overloading?
Right. Go ahead, Frank. And thanks, Tim.
I was just going to say, as always, I take these things with a grain of salt. Life is hard, and studying online is part of life. And so, that, but I do want to be mindful. I have heard that now several times, that it seems that, and I didn't choose to investigate, so I'm just throwing it out there. But in matter of fact, the context, this is now the coach's perspective. They have a spouse that is, I don't know if they're in higher ed, but they've actually been instructed to sort of scale back, not scale up. And so that was the context for that particular person. And so I don't know that we want to do that, but to your point, I just don't know how we could be mindful of that. And I'm just asking us to be mindful of that. And I apologize, I've got to scoot here in a few minutes, but thanks again, everyone, for all you're doing. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank. Yeah, to Tim's question about that, how do we determine what's overloading, I guess is the question. I don't want to say this off the top of my head. So let me look up, I do have a sheet that talks about hours, load, that kind of stuff in an online environment. Let me see if I can find that. Reuven will do a song for you while I look. No, kidding. But while I look for that, is there another question or, yeah, great. Sorry. So Deborah, you had talked about NimblyWise. Sorry, I'm trying to go down the chat, in order. Anything you want to say about that? The pilot issue with NimblyWise?
Okay. Can I speak now? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you
Okay.
just fine.
All right. Okay. Yeah. This is actually something I think we're going to have to discuss with Frank and David Faber in another meeting. But the rollout on that has not been. It's been pretty bumpy. Our students had real difficulty. Some did have real difficulty uploading into that NimblyWise. For some of you, that's an assessment program that some of us are working with, and we had been assured that it would be seamless. Well, it isn't. So, but just let everybody know that, if you hear about NimblyWise, it's not working the best. So.
Okay, thank you. I think I found the document, so it's loading for me. Let's talk a little bit about learning styles and discussion posts. Aline, I know what you mean. I know what learning styles are. What are you meaning behind? What's the meaning behind the question?
Well, when I sent out my survey to ask how students were feeling about the class, I got back a couple responses. Is there some variety rather than students just responding in writing to a post? Like I'm looking at, maybe having them put together a slide, to illustrate something. I was going to have them take a picture of something and load the picture up, as a way to just as they're, because they're visual learners, there are verbal learners, there are auditory learners, is there variety in the kind of discussion post assignments that we can do. So just was wondering if anybody had any ideas about that.
Yeah, Melinda, go ahead.
I did that this week, Aline. So my kids were giving elevator pitches in small business. And I'm like, it would be so much fun for us to watch each other do our pitch. And so Reuven suggested I try VidGrid, which I think they're going to talk about in a little bit. And initially I was going to just use Zoom, have the kids Zoom and, put it up there. So we did VidGrid. I would say 85% it went okay. Some kids, it didn't work. From what they tell me, some of them told me they didn't have a computer that had a camera on it. I said, well, then use your phone and do it that way. And I tried it and I was able to do it. You know, I think it was either Dr. Johnson or Dr. Glanzer said early on that they had a meeting with some of the kids and how we make the assumption that they're pretty tech savvy. They weren't. Oh, I almost gave up. I'm not gonna lie, because I was trying to, I wanted to see each other, you know, and they just, and out of my 23 kids, only 11 did the assignment. Because they just, they had all these reasons, excuses, whatever you want to call, of why they couldn't. So that was what I tried.
Okay, I was wondering, is there a way with discussion posts for people to choose one or the other of how to respond? Like I was thinking, you know, if somebody's not comfortable with technology, with pictures, you know, I just thought about this now, to give a choice how they want to respond. You know, that might be something I could try.
You definitely could. Ruben, do you have VidGrid? Do you have it open? You could demonstrate.
I can in like 2 seconds.
Okay, so with the VidGrid embedded into our system, when a student clicks reply to a discussion, they could quite happily type out their answer, or they could also choose to record a video response. I'm actually doing that this week with the course that I showed you just a few moments ago. So I'll have maybe by next Monday when we do this again, I'll have a little story, hopefully a success story. But I also know with adults, sometimes the technology is an issue as well. I also think VoiceThread is a good tool. They have an excellent app. And so it works great on phones, and again, could be something similarly used. Although what I like about VidGrid is it's embedded into our system and we can just use it in the.
Well, I'm going to use VoiceThread for a group project that we're going to be doing. So, which is a different assignment than having a discussion post. So.
Right. Ruben, you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let me hit that share screen button. Okay. So this is my dashboard. Can you guys see it? And does it look like a normal size?
Yeah, I was gonna say not yet, but now it's there.
Okay. So before I jump into VidGrid, I'm gonna highlight two things. One is that wonderful and lovely Richland Community College resources and training. That thing is absolutely packed with just wonderful information, from building your course to using Canvas with your students. I mean, it really touches on a lot of not just how to do it, but also like what are industry standards and what works well. So, I mean, you just click on any of these buttons and it takes you to that module. It's really deep, really thorough. I'm a huge fan of it. The other piece I want to touch on is every faculty member should have a sandbox course. And what this sandbox course is, so we'll jump into mine. This is just a space that has no students for you to test things, for you to see what works. This is currently, I went and imported from, I think, somebody's public speaking course, just because, as you know, part of my job, I was doing different things. So, but you know, I've added, so like with this test discussion, right now, there's nothing in here. It's just a place for me to try stuff. And so what we can do is when we go into edit, we can try things like VidGrid, which in the rich text editor, which is what this is called, anywhere you have this text editor in Canvas, you will also have this VidGrid embed button in the toolbar. If you click that, if you don't have an account, it automatically creates an account for you that is tied to your Canvas account. You can see that I don't have any videos currently. If I had created videos, they would show up here. And if you want to create a video, you click the record button. So it downloads a quick thing. It does the quick install. let's throw that wherever that landed. And this is just, it's kind of like downloading the application for Zoom. I mean, it's really just a shell in which you can record. And it's not really happy right now for a number of reasons. One, I'm already using my camera for Zoom. Pretty generally, you can only use your camera in one place at a time, I found. But I could upload a video that I had recorded. I could record a new one. Yeah, and then so once you have this post, then it's a very similar process for students to record their own VidGrid video. So they click that same button again. They it creates their account. If they need to, they can record in all the same ways. And so, Aline, like you mentioned earlier, could we do a discussion where we have kind of multiple different ways in which you can respond? Absolutely. You could say either give a text response or an image, like create a PowerPoint slide or something like that, or a PDF, or just type in your response as a normal discussion post, and then you have that variety of interaction. I think that could work well in one kind of what's the word I'm thinking? One thread that could work well. Rick, you've been doing discussions more than I have. You may want to correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think it'll work well. Again, I'll know more by next Monday because I'm doing that, actually piloting it this week. I've always used VoiceThread in the past, so this will be the first time of using VidGrid. And as Reuven just demonstrated here, all a student has to do is click reply like they would for any discussion, and then hit the VidGrid video and click record. So it does work. You asked the question about quality. It's, I don't know, it's about the same. The one thing I like about it, with a Zoom recording, you have to do something with it. It's not ready to go. But with a VidGrid recording, as soon as, if Reuven was able to record right now, it would put it into, you can see there on the left, My Grid. It would immediately put it into the My Grid section, and it would be ready to use. So that part is really, that part's great.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so I'm not sure what was going on earlier. I think it just didn't have me logged in or something. So right now I am deciding what portion of my screen will be recorded.
And you can switch that to none and just click on camera only if you don't want to show your screen.
Yes. I'll be honest, I'm not sure where that button is. Is that this one?
Oh, and yes,
Hey.
I can, yes, Aline, I have that. I have that posted in my class. So yeah, I can share that.
It's going to cause a fight with Zoom and VidGrid. It might. Yeah, it looks like it might. Well, okay. Yeah, I wish I could show you. I mean, okay. I guess I can just use this webcam over here, this side one. So I'm not sure what audio device is going to use, and I'm also not sharing audio. So when I'm going to hit record, gives me a little countdown. And again, I'm not sure what audio device is using. Also, I'm not sharing my audio via Zoom. So once this is done, you may not be able to hear it, but you would give your talk. You can lecture just like this. You can also combine, having your screen being the thing that is recorded versus having your webcam being the thing that's recorded. If you need to pause, like let's say that I feel a really big sneeze coming on, I can pause it. I can have my little sneeze or my big sneeze and then continue recording. And then when you're done, you give a little finish, little check mark, you title it. So what is today? 2020. Give it a title. It is, right now it's uploading to VidGrid and to Canvas. And I don't have the most stellar internet connection here at my house, so this may take a little bit. But what we should see, if I remember correctly, and we'll see how that is these days, it'll be a video that pops up in that little VidGrid window. And then from there, we can easily add it to that discussion post.
So I've just put a link in our chat. It's the link that I have posted in my class for how to use VidGrid. It's produced by VidGrid. It's one that Reuven and I first saw when we talked to them as a company. And it's just very simple walkthrough. Basically what Reuven has just showed you, but you can see now on the screen his video is there, and it's linked.
Yeah. So now I'm reviewing it before posting it to the course. So you may not be able to hear it. I'm listening to it in my headphones. And I say, yeah, it looks good. So if we need to edit it for anything, we can. That just like little cut and paste, little cut out this section. If we need to rename it, we can. You can get a link to the video separately so that it doesn't have to go through Canvas. Like if you want to send out that link via an email in addition to Canvas, you can. But this all looks good to me. So
Wait, there was one thing I just, too late. That's okay.
Sorry.
One of the options on there, given what we talked about way back in September with accessibility for students, you could request a machine to add subtitles to your talk. I did that on a test. It was embarrassing to me how many times I said and because that comes through on the subtitles. It was really awkward and I felt very embarrassed by my speaking skills. But it was very, very good. It was accurate. I can't remember any words that it got wrong. So that would be one way you could also make your videos accessible by using that link. It did take about, like, I think it was the next day. I was going to say 24 hours, but I think it was like, I recorded it one afternoon. It was ready by the next morning. I don't think it's a big, although now there may be way more people using it than there were before. So I don't know what the load is on there.
Sure.
And great question, Dorothy. How long of a video? I don't recall. All I would say is for listening in just this day and age where people watch 10-minute YouTube videos, you wouldn't want to go much more than 10 or 12 minutes anyway, and then you could stop and then record part 2. I'm sure it can go longer, but you may just want to break it up for your students' sake. But that's a good question, and we can find out the answer to that.
Yeah, there's no limit as far as I'm aware. But again, it is kind of a question of, well, yes, you can, but what are the best practices? And we are strongly encouraging videos shorter than 15 minutes. We feel like that's really kind of the point at which you start to lose a majority of attention. One thing I've been telling the church that I work at has moved to online services. And what I keep telling the pastors, I keep saying, a captive audience covers a multitude of sins. Like, we can get away with so much more when we have a captive audience versus when people are at home and, washing the dishes or folding laundry or, trying to do something that they would never do in a classroom. Actually, they might, I don't know. I'm not really a teacher. I don't know how many people are doing that in classrooms, but you know, we have to fight for their attention, I think maybe even more so now. And so that kind of time limit of 15 minutes, I think is what we're really encouraging. So back to, so in this discussion, I hope you guys can still see my screen. When I clicked that little check mark, it uploaded the video. It is in the text editor. The student posts the reply, and then it's there as the video. Ooh. Then it's there, and anybody can click on it. They can watch it. They can comment. You can add live comments to the videos. That's a pretty interesting thing. I've not played around with that so much, the live commenting. Aline, you asked about the sandbox. And so the question was, so you're saying we can use the sandbox to practice and or try it out. And yes, absolutely. So this sandbox course, you should all have one. If you don't, send me an email and I will get one for you. It is an empty space. Now I might have, I've got a couple different test accounts so that I can, you know, view stuff as other students. But really, I mean, I think in 99 out of 100 cases, this student view over here gives you everything you need to know from that student perspective. Really, those other test accounts were just so I could see what stuff looks like on a phone so that I know what to recommend to other faculty. But yes, this is your test course. There is nobody else who can see it. There is there's no students enrolled. You are the only person in it. You have total free, complete reign. If you ever want to test out any Canvas applications or integrations, I'd be happy to get that set up for your sandbox course so that we can test it before moving that into a live course that currently has students in it.
Thanks, Ruben. So yes, there was a request to email the link, and maybe just to avoid people getting multiple emails from multiple people, I might send it to you again, Aline, in an email with the recording. Would that help? Or should we just archive the recording? Someone could watch it if they ask for it.
Do you mean this session?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then Dorothy asked about using VidGrid to record speeches in class, and yeah, that would work really well. VidGrid would work great. Are there other questions? Thank you for your questions. That they've been really, really good, very insightful.
I think that link, Rick, that you sent, I think that's in the FAQ that we sent out.
Oh, it
or
probably
at least
is.
an email in that chain.
But were you talking about sending a link for this session that we're having?
We could or couldn't. I mean, it doesn't matter. I just recorded it just in case, but
okay.
It doesn't have to be. Well, we don't need to keep people if you, we all have stuff, lots to do, but at the same time, we're also happy to help. And our plan for Reuven and I is just to kind of jump on here every Monday, same link, same time, and yeah, just be helpful if we can. Yeah, sure. Dorothy, I can send you the URL for VidGrid. It also is embedded in your Canvas course. In anytime anyone replies or adds a comment in the discussion, or anytime you get that screen where you can add text, it's there.
Yeah, and Rick, I think I may just show the kind of dashboard that may be helpful too. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see it. Is my screen visible yet?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, sweet. So most of the interaction that you have with VidGrid, and Dorothy, that was an excellent question and request, because I totally forgot to mention this. So thank you. Most of the interaction that you'll have with VidGrid will happen through Canvas. And in every course along the left, you'll see a VidGrid portal. Now, there have been some people who have had glitches with this VidGrid portal button, where it will say, like, you know, you're not authorized, or contact your administrator. Generally, I have found that if you go into a discussion or a quiz or anywhere where you have that rich text editor, and you click this VidGrid embed first, that will generally solve the issue. Like if you click this and then come over and click that. So if you click this button here and it does not pull up with what I'm about to see here, or if it does pull up with I'm about to see here, I've got a email chain with our VidGrid rep trying to figure out why this is happening. So let's test my theory. Great. So if I go to a discussion and spell it right, and I click this, it's going to kind of load in the session. And there's that video that I recorded earlier. So you record all your videos in one batch and then go in later and add them to different things. So let's hope and pray that this works the way that I want it to. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Lovely. Okay. So what I said about most of your interaction happening in Canvas, turns out that I was just kidding. And what you can do instead is, if you go to, hi, thanks. If you go to app.vidgrid.com, so let's just look at that. So app.vidgrid.com. It should, so it's already logging me in because I am, I've already logged in. When you log into Canvas, because of the way it logs you in, it should also log you into VidGrid. And in fact, we can test that. So if I go here, this is just an incognito window. Nope. It's always dangerous to put in your password live. Don't ever do that. So then if I go to app.vidgrid.com, okay, so it turns out a lot of the things that I think, oh, no, it's because I didn't actually do this part yet. I apologize. So when you click this, it should bridge that connection. So I'm logged in over here. The LTI settings are a go. If I come here, I'm gonna hope and pray, yes, I'm logged in. So you do have this dashboard. And from here, again, you can record a video, you can upload a video, you can look at all of your videos. Since I'm an admin, I've got a couple more buttons over here. You may not have admin view, that's okay. That's for Rick and I. Within VidGrid, you can share videos. So if there was a video that I wanted to send to, let's just say Jim Paulus. I know Jim has been using VidGrid. I could create a video here and share it with him. So you can interact with VidGrid here, and any videos that you create here will also be linked back in Canvas. So just to demonstrate, if I, doesn't think I have it because it's an incognito window. You shouldn't have to do that twice. And it'll probably want me to log in again. We'll see. We'll see if it's happy. Oh yeah, it's happy. 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to record a second video, number 2. Hopefully that'll show up in the thumbnail so that we see that there is a difference. I stop. Oh, I stop. I say this is good. We're going to say Zoom 2. It's going to upload. And there we go. There it is. It's uploaded. And so, Rick, this is one of those ways that we can open the closed captioning dashboard and request to have a machine caption your video. Now, this is an 8-second video. I don't know. Okay, this is good to know. So the request limit for videos, request limit, is that what I think it means? Request. Maybe not. I don't know. I guess I'm not really sure what that request limit is. I thought initially that it might be you can't request for a video longer than that. But I'm not really making sense of what is being said there.
I'm not entirely sure. I do remember when we talked to him that if we wanted a human to do the piece, it was longer and there was some money involved. If we want it for free with the machine, it would.
Yes.
So that could be connected, right? I think this is just helpful maybe for you to understand some of the back part of this, what's going on in the background. It should, and again, let's talk again on Monday, and I'll let you know how it goes with the class that I've got going, and we'll see. Yeah, it is it's the chicken and egg, right? Like we're trying to be more connected and more real and more personable. Sometimes that is with a greater risk because it's just easier to type, but then we get complaints. It's like, oh, it's so boring. All I do is read and type a response. So it's yeah, how do we move forward? But you can now see that both those videos are embedded in Ruben's account.
Yep.
And he's in Canvas right now. So that's a really,
yes. Yeah, so you can record in either location and it'll all come together.
Okay. Thank you. I've appreciated your time. I think we'll sign off, but we will be back on Monday next week. And yeah, if you have other questions, issues, thoughts, let us know. And we'll sort of follow a similar format. So if you think, hey, I'm good, that's okay. Ruben and I'll just talk together. Thank you for the applause. Dorothy, the link would show up right in their Canvas, right where you post it. So if it's a discussion or an assignment, it would show up right there in that assignment or that discussion. It would be right there when they embed it. We'll hang around, but feel free if you are good, you can hop off. I won't close the room out yet in case people want to ask another question, but we'll hang around.
I have a question. People have been writing questions, and I'm not sure where to put a question if I have one.
Oh, and you're using a tablet, you said?
Yeah.
There should be, when you tap your screen, you should see the word chat somewhere on the screen. It depends which kind of tablet you have. And
I have audio, video, share, participants, and more, which is raise hand and
okay.
see in the chat.
What kind of device do you have? Is it a
It's a Amazon.
Oh, like a Fire or a
Fire.
Okay. And are you using, is there a Zoom app that you're using, or is it a Zoom, are you just using the, whoops, you still there? Oh, you just turned off your camera. Are you using a Zoom app or a web page?
I think it's an app.
Okay. I am not exactly sure because I don't have a Kindle, but
No, it's not an app.
I can do a little research and see, because I would assume with the app, you should still be able to see the chat. So let's see if we can find out and then let you know.
Okay.
I will
Well,
write-
it's not critical.
Okay. But yes, there is a whole conversation going on the side where people are typing comments, questions, thoughts, and that happens through the chat feature.
Okay. Whoop. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, I'm sorry, Pam. I don't know that device.
Now I'm trying to figure out how do I leave. Oh, there I see chats.
Oh, there you go.
I click on participants, and then at the bottom of it, it says chats.
Okay. It may pop up on the front of your screen, like cover over everybody. That's a possibility.
Now, how do I leave? Oh, right there. Okay, thank
All
you.
right, you're welcome. Bye. Scott, it makes you invisible when you put the football screen up. I don't know if you can see that, but we could from this side.
I was trying. I hear that I'm sparkly on this background
Yes.
office. I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think it's because there's just not enough light on your face.
Okay.
So is the laptop like tied down with any cables? Like, could you get up and go face your window just so we could see?
Just on a. Whoops.
Yeah. So if you face your window, so not with it behind you. Sorry, like yeah, if you as the person. Okay. So where'd the background go?
Yeah. Where'd my computer go?
Well, we still see you. We still hear you.
Well, that's good. I just don't see it. There we go. I had it on a docking station.
Oh, okay.
Come on, mouse. I can see that.
Yeah, I'm very illuminated though. I've got a substantial monitor.
I'm going to try a different virtual background.
Okay.
Oh, Reuben, nice. I saw.
Rick, did you just see that? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I had clicked out for a second. I do need to go. I think I'm on dinner making tonight, so I got to throw a bunch.
Oh
of
my
in the
goodness.
Instapot
So
and
what's
then-
for supper?
Oh, some kind of potato soup I'm gonna make, but I need to get that going, and then
Ooh.
I can come back and go to work once I get the Instapot cooking.
Like a cheesy bacon potato kind of thing, or like
no, we're
a
vegan,
sour
so
cream and
it'll be-
onion kind of thing.
It'll be more of a potato and kale and stuff soup.
Well, I tried to do a
Well-
Switzerland background, but it's not working.
Yeah, it's not doing any backgrounds now. I
Talk to you
wonder
guys in a bit.
why.